Hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody, to Eight Queens Roundtable Show, which is happening now. I am excited to announce every Sunday of the month. Let me just bump my chair down just a smidge. There we go. All right. So welcome back. Welcome back. I am your host, Jacqueline Kavai Harrison, and I have a awesome guest here that I'm going to let her introduce herself in just a moment. Let me just give you a couple of updates. Again, first update is Eight Queens Roundtable Show. Let me just make sure we are live. Yes, we are. Okay. So again, first update, we're going strong every Sunday of the month at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for holidays. And the second announcement is it's that time again. Eight Queens Roundtable Quarterly Symposium is going to be happening the end of September. I believe it's the 23rd through the 26th. So if you are interested in being a speaker, this is an excellent time to do it. Also invite my return speakers to come and join me again. Have nice packages and a discount for you as well. And lastly, but definitely not least, I am now the executive channel producer of Eight Queens Roundtable channel on the Women Win Network. So if you have a show, a podcast, or just want to have a show, never, don't even have your own show at the present moment, we can talk, let's link up, and let's do it. That way you can take your show you can expand your show. We're on Roku as well as Amazon Fire TV. All right, so send me an email. Let's link up. Let's do it, ladies. All right, so Miss CaTyra, am I saying it right? Or is it CaTyra?
CaTyra.
CaTyra. Miss CaTyra, I am so excited to be here with you today. You have spoken previously in one of my symposiums. I think I may have even interviewed you in the past. I know I've been on your show. I'm so honored to have you here today. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, everyone. My name is CaTyra Polland. I'm the CEO and founder of Love for Words, which is an editing boutique. I specialize in nonfiction and also developmental editing. I'm an 8-time published author, so I enjoy writing myself as well. And I'm a Rochester, New York native. I like to travel. I enjoy spending time with friends and family and trying new restaurants and going to the beach and concerts.
I saw that going to the beach in your bio. I was like, okay, so she's a water person. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so go ahead and tell us a little bit more about how did all of this come about?
Yeah, so I launched Love for Words in 2017. A friend of mine who's also a publisher, Ebony Nicole Smith, I was looking for an editor, yes, and I did a sample edit for her, and she really liked it, and she started referring me to her publishing clients. So I'm as someone who's always loved reading and writing, it really, complemented my skills and interests very well. So I decided to launch Love for Words. So we're in 4 years now, so it's going very well. Again, I typically edit nonfiction, so memoirs, biographies, autobiographies, poetry. And I also work with businesses to help them edit their documents as well, such as reports, presentations, things like that. But when I started, it was all about working with one-on-one clients, which I still do. My target market is other Black women like myself who are business owners or aspiring business owners. So I'm there to help them through the process, of course, giving them feedback about their writing, making revisions, recommendations, and suggestions, but more importantly, encouraging them. I'm giving them words of empowerment and, sharing with them what they've done well in their manuscript, not just what could use improvement. So I love to have that balance between making it better, but acknowledging what's already good about it.
Thank you. I put myself on mute there because I heard a little bit of feedback. That's so important to be able to tell people what they're doing well as what they need work on. Because I would assume that a lot of people that come to you don't have any, previous experience. So they don't have real high levels of confidence when it comes to writing. And they're probably already nervous and wondering if they should do this,
Right.
that combination I think would be very effective. I'm
For
sure.
sure.
Yeah.
Yes. And as someone, I'm an editor, but I work with editors on my work. So I know what it's like to hand over your manuscript and wait to get that feedback and critique and be nervous about that. So I'll always keep that in mind when I'm working with my clients, because it's not easy to write a book, especially if it's something personal to you, like a biography or poetry, and then hand it over to somebody and wait for their feedback. So I always like to uplift and, give them positive feedback.
That is awesome. And I know Ebony. I've interviewed her. I have never been on any of her book projects, but I've interviewed her, and I know she's phenomenal, and I know she's helped a number of women actually publish. So that's awesome. Okay. So I was going to ask you this because I want to say it, throughout the broadcast. So tell everyone where exactly they can find you if they want to work with you.
Yeah, so you can visit my website, pollandllc.com. That's Poland with two L's, POLLAND LLC.com. So you can find, all of my social media pages there, Facebook.com/Poland LLC. I have Instagram, Instagram.com/Poland LLC. And I also have Twitter @Poland LLC. So you can connect with me social media. You can also email me, Poland@PolandLLC.com.
Okay. Did you say LinkedIn? Did I miss it or?
I have a personal LinkedIn page. I don't have a business business LinkedIn, but my personal LinkedIn is linkedin.com/n/C Poland.
Okay. And are you on Clubhouse as well?
I am not. I don't have Apple, so.
Okay. And I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know I've been hearing the buzz around Android users getting on Clubhouse, but I don't. I'm an Apple user, and I'm on Clubhouse, but I'm not on Clubhouse like a lot of other people. So I have no idea. I just know I heard the buzz. I know I had a couple
Right.
correct me. I know Android users have access to it too. I was like, okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So, all right, good. That's awesome. So, in terms of, I always like for people to share maybe maybe one obstacle, that you may have had in the past, and it could be, in your personal life or, business wise, entrepreneurship. Well, what would you like to share with the ladies and let them know how you were able to effectively address it so that it didn't prevent you from being able to move forward with your goals?
Yeah. So one of the challenges actually that I still have and that many business owners have is pricing.
Mhm.
Especially for something like editing. Um, a lot of the times clients may not see the value in editing. So when you give a quote, they're, sticker shock. They're surprised. They're not expecting it to be the price that it is. But one thing that I am working on is showing, of course, the value of editing and how important it is, why it matters, how it polishes your work, making sure you're putting your best foot forward. And of course, people, there'll always be people who are looking for the cheapest deal possible. That's just part of business. But just reminding them that you get what you pay for. And, having that discussion about quality versus quantity. So, yes, you may have paid $100 for a 300-page manuscript, but what does it look like when you get it back? Are there still going to be a lot of typos? Will there still be a lot of errors? Are they going to take the time to actually read your manuscript and offer edits, or are they just going to do a Microsoft Word editor check for you and send it back to you? Because that happens all the time. So that's one, a challenge that, will be ongoing just because, I come across people who are excited to work with me. We have our phone consultation, they fill out the online consultation, and then we get to the budget part and it doesn't line up. And again, that's common, and it's just something I'm still working through. I have certifications for my editing, so I do have the credentials to show this is what I've done. I have testimonials, so it's not something that I'm just making up. I have proof of, what I bring to the table, but it's still something that as a business owner I run into. So I would encourage ladies and anyone who's in business or freelancing to know your worth. And it's okay for you to, not work with the client if they can't meet your budget standards, or they're not willing to abide by the rules that you have in place or your policies. You have the power to say no. And that also applies to the client. So for the entrepreneurs, don't feel like you have to work with someone, if they can't meet you where you need them to meet you.
I'm really glad that you brought that up in terms of know your worth and talking about pricing, because that often comes up, and especially for newer entrepreneurs. There's issues around, like you said, you have a phone call, you get excited, they get excited, and then it's like, whoa, and then it's, a whole issue of, if someone is new and maybe they're not as confident in their pricing, it's like, oh, well, maybe I am pricing this too high, so I know a lot of us go through that. I'm not above that. I go through that when I'm, pricing my symposiums, and I always kind of in the back of my mind, sometimes, because I'm a social worker by profession, and going into that profession, we automatically know we're not going to make, a whole lot of money. Unless we're running like 50 million programs. You got to be the head person or to really, really make some decent money in social work. So it's a whole lot of issues I know I've had to deal with around pricing and so forth. But you're absolutely right. And I don't think people really understand how much work goes into that, and that's why a lot of people do book collaborations, because it gives you an opportunity to kind of split the cost,
Right.
So professional editing and split the cost. So I wanted to say that. And then I also wanted to say, there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, that don't have a good sense of integrity. And I could see people just putting it through, like you said, what is that Microsoft?
The Word, yes.
Boop, here you go, because I've worked on a project before where, and I'm not naming names or anything like that, of course, but where literally I can tell it wasn't really edited. It's like, okay, well, I thought, like you're the editor, you know what I mean? So you, when you work with individuals, you help individuals as they do their individual book. Now, what about book collaborations? Do you do that? Or is that, okay, so that's something you do?
Yes, that's something I'm open to. I haven't edited an anthology as of yet, but that is something I'm open to. Yes.
Okay, so that's on the future on the horizon. And also, what about, and forgive me if you touched on it already. Now, writing classes. Do you do that as well? Is that, have you done that? Do you do that on the individual level? Like one-on-one, or do you do it in a group, or both?
I did do classes in person here, locally here in Rochester. So I did them in the past. I haven't done any recently. That is something I'm certainly open to in the future, in person and also virtually, but I don't have any coming up anytime soon or in the near future, but that's something that I'm, thinking about doing.
Okay. Because I mentioned that because I know in terms of like an anthology, I'm in the process of, gathering authors to do one. And I know what I felt in that experience. And sometimes, people just need some help.
Right.
I just wondered, like, if that's something you do or would be willing to do, is to come in and to do, I don't know, maybe a series of, you know, a good number.
Yes.
A mini series on kind of how to start, beginning, middle, end, that kind of thing for those authors in an anthology, just to kind of give a roadmap.
Definitely.
Okay.
I'm open to that. Yes.
Okay. Because, women, and the idea, and I'm sure you would agree with me, is that we don't want people just, we want people to understand that their stories have power, and that your story could make a huge difference in just one person's life, and your story is powerful. And to be able to tell that story, to get it out of you. And for a lot of people, it's very therapeutic, on their end, as well as on the other person's end,
yes.
From what they're experiencing or what they're going through. Maybe they're ready to throw in the towel on life in general, and that could be the difference. So we want to encourage more women to tell your story, And where I was leading up to is that some of you may say, oh, I'm not an author. Because I know I said that. I mean, I got a master's degree. I done written many papers. I've written a thesis, but I'll be honest, I don't consider myself an author. And when I originally sat down to be a part of an anthology project, I was like, oh my God, you want me to do what? I'm supposed to do this in 3 pages? So I don't want people to shy away because they feel like they're not an author or they're not a writer. There is help. There's people that can help you do things such as that, such as this young lady that sits before me. So don't shy away from telling your story because of that. The help is out there. Okay. So let me ask you this, with the time remaining, I want to be more aware of my time because sometimes I can get going and I'll be off running, So let me ask you this. So you've shared an obstacle with us. So let me ask this. 2 questions. What would you say is how do you ensure that you practice good self-care? And I'd like to ask, what advice would you give to a younger version of yourself?
Okay. For self-care, recently I actually just resigned from a few committees and boards because I was on quite a few. So I'm just removing that from my plate and having more time to myself. That's been great. And then, of course, coming out of COVID, getting back to traveling, specifically solo traveling. So that's another thing that I like to do. I recently went to Boston and I have a trip for South Africa as a group travel trip. But those are things that I like to do when it comes to self-care, and even just like going to the coffee shop and doing work there, in a different setting, instead of being at home. So those things I really enjoy doing. And like I said earlier, trying new restaurants, I really like to do that. Going out, and when I travel, I like to go to, the popular restaurants or wherever I'm traveling. So those are some of the things that I do for self-care. And as far as advice I have for a younger me, I would just say, pursue the dreams and goals that I have, which I do believe I've done. So I don't know. I think that would be the advice I have for myself. If there's something that you're interested in, that you like, that you want to do, you can do it. There are resources, there are people who are there to help you. You'll have to seek them out. They won't necessarily come to you, but as long as you have that vision, then you can make your dreams come true.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. So just as we were sitting here talking, I was thinking of this. What has your support system been like throughout your entrepreneurial journey? And I say that because some of us may come from a family of entrepreneurs. Some of us have very, supportive spouses, family members, friends, and some of us don't. So if you could share your experience in reference to that.
Yes, a lot of my friends are entrepreneurs or freelancers, so that's where a lot of the support comes from. We go through a lot of the same journeys and the same experiences. I actually met with a friend of mine yesterday. He's a freelance public relations specialist. So we were just talking about the intricacies of contracts and how it's different from being employed or being an employee. So yes, most of my friends, I have another friend who's a realtor. So again, even though we're in different industries, we do see a lot of the same struggles and also celebrations being, entrepreneurs and freelancers. So that is where a lot of the support comes from. And then the online community as well. The symposium that you have, I was a speaker, so I met other women who are in the field with me. So that's been really helpful. And yeah, so that's where I pulled a lot of, information from and getting mentors and things like that.
Okay. Wow. So see, the online community has been a big sense of your support as well. Uh-oh. Okay, so I think I had lost you there for a minute. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I think you kind of went out there for a minute. I know it's storming here. So I'm hoping, my internet continues to act right. So you were just saying that you have a lot of different friends that are, I guess, entrepreneurs, not necessarily writers per se. Some writers, others in other areas. So you kind of can combine together, and because, like you said, that whole mindset, employee and employer, is a completely different mindset. Because when you're an employee, your health insurance is taken care of. You basically don't necessarily have to make a whole lot of decisions because someone is telling you, giving you the roadmap. We want you to do this and not this. Whereas like with entrepreneurship, you make all your own decisions. You decide what road you're going to travel down. Like how we just talked about, if about some different things that you're open to, like in terms of editing an anthology. You determine what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, or what you want to explore. And it's like the opportunities are limitless.
Right, definitely. Yeah, and I think that's one of the benefits too, is that you get to decide, what projects you want to work on. And if it doesn't fit with, align with your goals or your values, you can turn it down.
Yep, you can say, I don't think so. No, thank you. No, thanks. Let me move on. So just as a little fun note, if you will, what would you say is the most something interesting about you that people would be just in awe to find out? They'd be like, oh, really? One of those drawbacks. Like, what would you say?
Well, I studied in Puerto Rico for a semester, so they might be surprised by that. I had a joint major of sociology and Spanish when I was undergrad. So that was, the reason I decided to study there. So I was there, I think that was 2007. So I studied at the University of Puerto Rico and, took my classes there. I had a good time, learned a lot. So that was a fun experience for me.
Oh, I bet. Now the whole, so you speak, are you fluent in Spanish?
No.
Okay.
Nope. You use it or you lose it, right?
Right. Yep. That's true. That's what they say. And I took all kinds of Spanish, but I'm like, wait a minute, slow down, So what did the idea about all the different foods, what did that originate from? Trying different types of food, because a lot of people just kind of they get with something, that's what they like, and they stick with it.
Yeah, so just traveling, and seeing the different types of cuisines that are there. I especially like to try different soul food restaurants. That's usually what I do when I travel. So it's a lot of fun. I just like to be able to visit those places and make memories there and, compare them to other places that I've been. So I do that here at home too. So
Okay.
it's one of my hobbies.
Okay. So now, what inspired the South African trip?
Well, I've always wanted to go to South Africa, and we have a local agency, AJ Excursions, and she plans group trips. So, since she was local and that's her background, that's her expertise, I wanted to try a group trip. I've never done a group trip with a travel agency. So when I saw that, I decided to embark on that. It was actually supposed to be last winter. It was pushed to this winter, and now it's pushed till next winter. So hopefully next year it'll come to fruition. And I'm excited about that. And it takes all the work out of the traveling because the agent, does all the hotel and all the visiting and transportation and, some of the meals are paid for and things like that. So I'm looking forward to being able to enjoy the experience and having it planned for me.
Okay. You know what? I haven't traveled to the continent yet, and it's always been something that I wanted to do. So I'm actually planning the upcoming trip myself. I'm hoping to plan the upcoming trip myself, but I think I'm going to do Ghana. And I'm just debating on whether I'm going to let somebody else plan it or whether I'm going to kind of just go and just,
Yeah, wing it.
I just wing it, But I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's going to be really, really a real experience. And I can't wait. You know, that's always been something I wanted to do, is to travel, you know. And I feel like when I was in school, I did more of it.
Mhm.
And, you know, now it's like I don't really travel much at all, but all of that's going to change. That's my plan for all of that to change. So yeah, so I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited for you. And I'm pretty sure. Now, are you guys thinking of Cape Town?
I think that's included, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the city we're going to.
Okay. And then you could probably go to some other different cities
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. So we talked about something interesting. We talked about how you practice good self-care. We talked about your support system. And anything else that you would like to share with the audience? I mean, whether it be other, you know, authors, or just, you know, on a personal note, anything else you'd like to share? I'm gonna glance at your bio right quick.
Uh, um, just to, encourage people to pursue their dreams, and their goals, and, share that, I've been very lucky and blessed in my upbringing and childhood to have, family and friends who do support me. I never had anyone tell me there was things that I couldn't do or that I wasn't good enough to do. So I recognize not everybody has that, and recognize that's a blessing. So I'm always grateful when, people, celebrate me, encourage me. My mom has been a really big supporter and encourager my whole life till this day. So that's awesome. And again, I know not everyone has that. So I'm grateful for that. And, the mentors that I have and colleagues who celebrate with me. Like I had my first book signing in 2019, I think it was. And I sold all my books and I saw new friends, people I've been friends with for years, family came out, colleagues came out. So that was a really exciting event for me. I really appreciated, the support that I received from everyone. So just find, you might not find your support in your family, you might find it in your friends and colleagues and coworkers, but just know there's always people who will cheer for you and root for you.
Yes. And I like the way that you shared that, because sometimes people get caught, you know, in what should be, or the ideals, meaning like family and friends, you know. I mean, people that you've been friends with since grade school, or, you know, your sister, your brother, your parents, your aunts, uncles, you know. Sometimes people get, like you said, we're not all that fortunate. We don't always get that support from those people that we think we should get it from. But you know, I want to say, ladies, if you don't, go outside of that. You know, take control of it, take action. There are so many groups, and just Facebook is the first thing that comes to my mind. There are so many different groups, support groups, if you will, on Facebook, you know, with this whole digital, online, social media. You know, use it to your advantage. Don't be afraid to go outside of your immediate family or your, you know, immediate circle. Don't be afraid to go outside to get that support. Do what you have to do to get that support that you need, because we don't exist in a vacuum. You know, we all need support. We all need encouragement. Now, of course, we need to be able to do that for ourselves, because somebody else could tell you over and over again, you're going to do it, you can do it, you know, be your biggest cheerleader. But if you don't really fully believe it yourself, it's not going to happen, or you're not going to be able to sustain it. So this, I like to make sure that we talk about this every time and really stress the importance, because I know I've had some of my biggest supporters have been people that I don't even know.
Hmm.
I don't, you know what I mean? I've never even met them before in my life, you know, but they're my biggest supporters. So we're going to get ready to close in a minute, but I wanted to ask you, you have published, this is an 8-time published author.
Hmm.
You just share with us, what are, you know, what are some of your published works, and where they will be able to find them, and just, you know, end us again with any, comment or quote or that you may have that you want to share, and also again how they can find you.
Yes. So my first book is Professionalism, What's That? And it covers different elements of being an employee, but also an employer. So conflict resolution, code switching, professional development, appearance, things like that. So it's really for, students entering, entrepreneurship or the work field, or really anyone looking to start a business. So it just gives you a one-on-one level. So professionalism isn't, a class that's offered to students or, either at the high school or the college level. So I wanted to create a resource that people could flip through. I think it's 100 pages, look through really quickly and just get basic knowledge of what that looks like when you're, going into the workforce or starting a business. So that came out in 2017. And there's also a workbook component that's on Amazon or my website, so you can access it there. And then I've been involved in a few anthologies. I won't go into details, but those are also available on my website and also on Amazon. So if you go to my website, you'll see the titles and everything. Polland.com/shop is where all my books are. And then my most recent publication was the Dear August, Love August, which is a book of my poetry. And I talk about different experiences, observations, and things like that. And that's also on my website and Amazon. And if you're looking, to set up a consultation, you can go on my website and schedule that. And I'm happy to speak with you. It's a 15-minute free consultation. So I'm happy to, talk to you about your project and see if we'll be a good fit to work together. You can also listen to my podcast, Editor Knows Best. That's anchor.fm/editor knows best. You can also listen from my website. If you want to know more about my books and services, again, that's PollandLLC.com, 2 L's in Poland.
I was going to ask you, I was going to ask you about the podcast. There was something else I was going to ask you real quick, and it just slipped my mind. Oh, how often do you do the podcast? Is it a weekly show or?
Yes, it is currently weekly. I'm looking to transition that. But right now it is weekly. We're on hiatus for the summer, so we'll be restarting interviews in probably September or October.
Okay, excellent. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you. I have to, you're one of the persons that I've met in the online space that has been, I'll say genuine. You meet we meet all kinds of characters online.
Yeah.
I genuinely say, you have been very, very consistent. And, every time I've had an interaction with you, you haven't flipped, that you've been very, very consistent and very just encouraging and supportive, and I do appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So
you're welcome. And thank you for your support and staying connected and being on the show and inviting me to be a part of, the wonderful things that you're doing. And congratulations to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let me just go ahead and close out again, everyone. I'm Jacqueline Kabay Harrison. I'm your host for A Queen's Roundtable show, which is transitioning to a weekly show. So every Sunday at 3 p.m. with the exception of a holiday, of course. And also I'm your host for A Queen's Roundtable quarterly symposiums. The next one's coming up the end of September. So if you are looking to be a speaker and you want to expand your brand, this is an excellent opportunity. I'm also doing a collaborative effort. I'm doing an author's call as well. So if you are looking that way, you can get on the stage as well as share your story, or you can do one or the other or both. I encourage you to go ahead and apply. Let's sit down, let's talk. And also, again, if you are looking to take your show to the next level, like I said, I am a part of the Women Win Network. I'm executive channel producer. So if you want to get your show in front of nearly 1 million viewers between Roku and Amazon Fire TV, let's link up, let's schedule an interview, and let's make it happen. All right. So thank you all again for joining us, and see you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye.